Number 8, Board of Education, special meeting to order, Wednesday, October 26, 2015. Before we begin, I'd like to take a second to introduce Karen Nicoletto, who is taking over as a clerk, or taking the minutes for the meeting today, or tonight. So thank you, Karen, and welcome. I'd like to begin with a call to order, beginning to my left over here, students.
Jack Hopper, Marlboro, student representative.
Harrison Collier, Jewish representative.
Joe O'Connor here.
Kevin Williams, Hebron.
Okay, hold the clock, hand it over.
Judy Benson, Clark, Marlboro.
Rick Jake, Steve Hebron.
Carol Shea, Marlboro.
You can.
Superintendent of schools.
Jane Neal, the business manager.
Number 2, it's a pleasure.
I can worry about it.
Sorry.
All right, Tom Tremont, Hebron,
Dave Gustanian, Andover.
mere formality.
Brings us to item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise in the back of the room. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That brings us to item number 3, public comments. If anybody would like to address the board at
We're
this
up there.
time, please come forward, stand up, and state your name and your town.
Okay, we'll move up here.
Yes, Daniel Larson, 147 Hope Valley Road, Hampton, Connecticut. At the last board meeting, I believe it was Richard Jacobson had requested an accounting of nearly $1 million in transfer to balance the year-end books. I have to admit, I was both surprised and bewildered that not one person would second his request. Maybe you as board members get the ongoing budget numbers as required in section 3000 of your rules, but I feel that both he as well as the public would like to have known where the money was being spent. I remember the budget battles last year that you people put forth when you proposed your budget to the taxpayers. And as I said, the battles that went on over, dollars, few dollars here, a few dollars in that account, and how people fought so strenuously to make sure that their budgets weren't cut. Yet, as I say, I was shocked, surprised, and bewildered that not one person here would second his request to find out how that $1 million came from, what accounts. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you missed a great opportunity to let the public know what goes on over on that side of the fence.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Katrina Clay, and I live in Andover. Give me my address. 11 Dogwood Drive in Andover. I just wanted to ask, will there be a discussion tonight on standards-based grading, and where in the agenda is that?
Bob, are you familiar with anything that's on tonight on?
Part of it
There's no action items.
It's not an action item. Part of it we discussed is Dr. Piercy and Ms. Freeman make a presentation this evening on the middle school academy.
So it's a presentation tonight, there's no action being taken.
Okay. The presentation is on the middle school academy. Okay.
It's on the agenda, I mean,
That'd be item 6.2, and that'd be the first we're going to see special.
Okay.
Well, let me get a point of information here. I'm being told that it is on the agenda. I checked the agenda. I don't see it on the agenda.
I don't see it on the agenda.
The presentation is there, but there's no action.
There's a presentation from the middle school academy, doesn't say or give any idea about what the question was asked. So, in looking at that and seeing there's an action item on the agenda, I don't see anything on the agenda. Do you, Bob? Is there anything?
No, I think that what we're looking for is, going forward, the issue of grading can be discussed at a future time, but I think it's the idea of looking at the middle school academy, because that was a way to help us deal with declining enrollment in middle school. And yet
I don't want to get too far into the subject matter. There's a presentation tonight that might be touching on the subject, so if you would like to stay, if you can, and watch the presentation. If your questions are not answered then, feel free to follow up with any board member or with the superintendent with further questions.
Okay, it's just a presentation, nothing but.
Presentation.
Okay, very good.
You want to say something?
Bill Customs, 63 London Road, Hebron, and I'm also the varsity softball coach, and I am making a proposal to replace the existing scoreboard at the softball field at little or no cost to the district, hopefully no cost, by advertising, permanent advertising on the scoreboard. And I just want to make sure that everyone, I can start to raise the funds and everyone agrees with that proposal. This top is a letter that I composed to give to the potential donors, and I've also sort of picture of the existing scoreboard in there, as well as its replacement. As you can see, the original scoreboard came from the old high school, and it's probably been there a good 20 years or so. And it was donated by the Cilios, and I was going to approach Jim Cilio first to see what he would like done with that dedicated sign there. And then hopefully he would be one of the contributors to sponsor the scoreboard. Mike, are there any questions?
Thank you very much. If we have any questions, we should.
Okay, thank you. So you feel I should start raising funds for this?
We can talk after the meeting. I think Facilities Committee is addressing some of these issues, Joe, am I correct?
With the
Just the scoreboard? Facilities, I thought.
we have the other scoreboard, that's the middle school.
Okay.
We haven't talked about Bill. I've talked to Bill and told him to come to the board meeting and present it because of the new policies and, that I see here that, are for discussion tonight, that, we should probably have some discussion on that, I think, but I think Bill's proposal is, it's time for a new scoreboard and
Oh, understood. Yeah, I don't think anybody's debating that right now. I just want to make sure it gets into the hands of the committee who's going to make the recommendation. So, okay, the superintendent has a copy and.
Just a reminder, there was a policy on advertising.
Right. Yeah, we approved that, right?
That's already,
For this specific
that's already.
purpose, so it's just a matter of just procedurally getting it through facilities and to the board with the recommendation, so.
Does that require the board?
I will double check.
Not the policy.
Wait, hold on. What's the question? Let me just get the question.
Does the board have to approve the project?
The board have to approve the project.
But just a point of order, this is public speak, and
Yeah.
people are able
right.
to speak, but we don't discuss items.
Right.
We certainly don't discuss things that haven't been put on the agenda
Right.
formally. So, thank you for your
There's a
presentation.
committee, yeah, thank you. We'll get back to you immediately and just let you know the procedurally how it goes down.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? If not,
Just a comment on the agenda tonight. I got involved in trying to figure out if you were going to discuss the FOI complaint in the midst of it. I didn't see it on the agenda, so questioned if it was going to be discussed under executive session. Subsequently found out it's not, but in looking at your executive session warning, I asked FOI to review it and tell me if it was adequate. And the note I got back from Tom Hennick, which I'll provide for you, is that got your call this morning. My opinion that item 11, which for the public is the item on the agenda that discusses an executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation negotiations. He said, assuming the negotiations and pending litigation are one and the same, the case should in some way be identified. It is possible and perhaps arguable that revealing the legal action in the question could reveal legal strategy. The argument has been successful in front of FOIC on previous occasions. In that case, the board should make clear that, should make that clear, and that the case I've linked below, which I've also included, talks about what acceptable warnings are. This warning, to sum up his opinion, and Tom Hennick is the Chief Information Officer for FLI. He is not an attorney. So I don't want to make you think that this is an attorney's opinion. But his opinion is that this is not sufficiently warned and would not be a legal meeting.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd just like to take an opportunity to announce a student accomplishment, and just so happens that the student is one of your own, one of our student delegates. A couple weeks ago, Harrison Pellerin was announced as an alternate delegate for the United States Senate Youth Program. This is a program established in 1962 through a U.S. Senate resolution and was designed to provide exceptional educational experience for outstanding students interested in pursuing careers in public service. Each state chooses 2 finalists and 2 alternate delegates. And in Connecticut, the process begins with an essay contest and a recommendation from the principal. Through the essay contest and recommendation, Harrison became one of the finalists. He then had to be interviewed, and I encourage you to ask Harrison about that interview, by a set of adjudicators who then made the final decision in regards to who the 2 state finalists and who the 2 other delegates would be. If one of the finalists or the delegates cannot attend, then Harrison will have the opportunity to spend a week in Washington in March, experiencing government action. Delegates from each state will interact with U.S. senators, cabinet members, participate in a meeting with the Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, and they often have the opportunity to meet the president as well. So I'd ask you please give your congratulations to Harrison.
Anyone else?
Hi, Dean. Andy Tierney, Town Manager, Town of Hebron. I'm here tonight hoping to request from the board public comment possibly on one of your agenda items. If there's any questions regarding the insurance consortium. If I could reserve the public comment till that time. Or
Yeah, you can. I'll do that because of the uniqueness of the transaction. When we get to that agenda item, I'll invite you to include it.
if needed.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, that brings us to the next item on the agenda, which actually we're going to skip number 4 with additions to the agenda because this is a special meeting, so we're not making any changes to the agenda. We're going to item number 5, which is report of the administration.
My first item, Mr. Chairman, is that with the October 1st enrollment, what we've been able to do is to calculate the apportionment of the 15-16 budget to the individual member towns. And you can see we've included that in the agenda. Andover 14.84%, Hebron 54.47%, Marlboro 30.5%. So those are the apportionments based on enrollment of the upcoming budget. I've sent copies of this document to each of the towns so they're aware of it and they can use it in their budget plans.
So about the portion for the current budget or for the 17 budget?
For the 17 budget, for the one that we'll be working on in a couple months.
Thank you.
My question on the enrollment. We projected 1084 during budget season, and came out with 1023 result of high school. Do we understand why the delta?
We've looked at the delta. We right now the preliminary indication that we have are students attending magnet schools.
Okay. Any questions? It's the second page of item 5.5. Above 5.2.
5.2, I'll just give you a copy of the cafeteria contract for amendment number 1. There have been some difficulties with the state in contracting food services and the way in which those issues have been handled and the way contracts have been handled. The state has said that we can continue with our current contract through June 30th, 2016. Sometime in the spring of 2016, when that
$40,000 surplus last year from Chartwell's. And I'm wondering how you might word a contract so that that savings can be passed on to the students. I'm thinking that we're increasing prices because the thought is that the cost of food is increasing, but we've already, I think we're on to $2,700 in surplus at this point in time. $2,683 in surplus or profit, it's called, for us. I'm wondering how we can amend the contract so that that savings can be made, sent out to the students and the families.
We'll take a look at it and get back to you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us where that 40,000 went that was left over?
It stays in that account, the cafeteria account.
And this is tradition we use to purchase equipment for quite some. Just remember looking at the cafeteria program, the equipment's 10 years old. Last year we had to replace the slicer.
Bob, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Last year we had to replace a piece of equipment in the cafeteria, we put probably around $10,000. And that's what traditionally we've used that money for.
Is the new regulations going to restrict what we can do with that money?
The new regulations won't restrict what we can do with the money. Excuse me, previously, Chartwell's, for example, gave graduating senior $1,000 scholarship. Under the new regulations, that's not allowed. There were a couple other regulations that made contributions to equipment used in the program. That's not allowed anymore. So we're trying to marry the amendments in the contract with the changes in regulations with our equipment needs.
Any other questions?
Since we're on the subject, so I understand, I saw in the packet 40,000, so is that surplus money that we're carrying it in this year's budget?
It's moved forward.
14, 15?
Excuse me, it's moved forward to this year's budget. And as I said, it's been used traditionally to buy equipment for the cafeteria.
And do we have,
It's not in the board budget at all. This is a separate fund.
What separate fund is that?
Cafeteria.
Cafeteria.
So if there's nothing that's going to be purchased from the cafeteria fund, I mean, for purchase, like the oven doesn't go or the refrigerator, where does that money go? It just stays there? So how much is the balance? Because we've had surpluses over the years.
I don't know, off the top of my head.
Is it restricted?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
What does that mean?
But you can-
I'm trying to make sure that it
So
wasn't.
Jim, can I ask that the board, get an update with the finances?
Mhm.
Thank you. Any other questions on the cafeteria report? Cafeteria contract? That brings us to 5.3, communication for the state regarding handicap accessibility, closure 5.3.
This is a letter I received from the state on September 24th, or dated September 24th. And what they're doing is, I must respond to them by the 30th of October, talking about how they're going to be responding to the definite course of action on the handicap access to the field. Well, what I have here is a preliminary drawing from the ESC that we'll be sending to the state, outlining a corrective action plan.
So Bob, in the attachments in 5.3, you have a copy of the letter from Senator Osteen and Representative Mulligan to this Deputy Commissioner from the Department of Education. So has there been any other communications? Because that letter is dated exactly 30 days or just about 30 days after the district deputy commissioner sent you this letter, so do you know if there's been a stay or a holding off? Or?
What I was going to do is, based on the district meeting this evening and based on the silence on Friday, I was going to send that to them and indicating that a company has been engaged to do some engineering work. We're either going to be applying for a grant, and I've talked about the reserve funds that have been established. And potentially those could be used, or waiting for waiting for this to be a portion of the state grant that would be given to the district.
Understood, but that's not, I apologize, but that's not my question. My question was, has there been any communication with the commissioner after the letter from
No,
State
there hasn't been.
So you haven't spoken to him directly?
No, I haven't, and I just wanted to wait until tonight's meeting, and then I'd be responding with this. And I was waiting for this drawing to.
Okay.
What power do these guys have on us?
They do hold our federal funds.
And how much is that?
We're probably, when you look at cafeteria, you look at IDEA, Title I, Title II, we're probably close to $500,000.
How much was it?
Oh, $500,000.
It could, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the first course of action would be immediately cut off the funds.
They could. I think that based on this, and I think we've got a good look at it, because that's all the issues that were contained in the audit, this curriculum, the handicap, the accessibility to the fields, and the reason that's been put off is because of just funding.
Any other questions?
Regarding what we were just discussing, would the suggested improvements be included as a part of that task force that was discussed at the last meeting, dealing with capital repairs? Is that under the same purview, or is this a separate?
Not exactly, no. The point of the task force was that after this plan was put together and then submitted to the state for consideration, whatever items are ultimately not addressed by that effort, where the district has to figure out a way to do that, work with the committees of the board to come up with a strategy, and then have a community-wide task force of leaders from the different towns to go over those, look at the costs, and then come up with a strategy combined of how do we address them and what is the best way. So that's kind of after everything is submitted and whatever comes back is left over, we have to prioritize and then work with the towns, talk about what's the best strategy.
Thank you.
Any other questions? About district meeting.
One point, to go back to the, you asked a question, you heard from the state, have you heard anything from Senator Roaston?
No, from the deputy commissioner since Senator Rosen's letter with Representative Mulligan has gone to the commissioners. There's been, because the letter from the state is dated in September.
Yes, I understand that.
So I was just wondering if there's been any reprieve or backing off since the last break your thumbs letter came out. So
But nothing from Senator Roaston after she wrote the letter.
I haven't heard.
No.
District meeting about 5.4.
I think that just the result of the district meeting, that there was a reserve fund for the purpose of, created for the purpose of repairing sidewalks. And we're looking at that in addition and trying to relate it to this once we have a clear understanding of where the grants are going to go. And remember, if that money isn't used for either sidewalks or for whatever purpose, it could be reallocated to another purpose within the budget. But that would take a district meeting.
Thank you. 5.5 financial reports.
Yes, in your budget packet, I submitted a memo with 3 different budget reports, as I mentioned in the memo, based on different requests for budget documents. I thought it was just easier to create the 3 and submit them all. Currently, our projected balance is $3,653,224. Our budget for the year is $27,770,775. You'll notice that in this budget projection, we are now, as I mentioned in the last budget meeting, we are now encumbering payroll, which is a big help. So it gives us an idea where we stand. We're still in the process of making adjustments to payroll due to people transferring and staff adjustments, that type of thing. And we still have some major programs to still encumber, some transportation funds, that type of thing.
I see here that we have coaches who projected to be $50,000 over.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why?
Because participation fees. Participation fees for what? Pay for the coaches, so that this is how the budget's developed. The budget's developed net of the participation fees.
We got rid of that before. It shouldn't be showing up here. Participation fees has nothing to do with what we pay our coaches.
Right, coaches are paid through salaries, coaches get salaries paid through payroll, participation fees offset those items. Offsets coaches and offsets officials.
So this number that we put in the budget of $116,000, does that cover all the coaches' salaries?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to take a look at this. I may be, just give me a second, please. I'd have to look to see what was budgeted for coaches. You may be correct. And it may be under the officials. So we could have a problem with the encumbrance. Let's take a look at it. Fortunately, we're working with limited staff, so.
Another line item, six assignments were projected to be over $34,000.
6 assignments based on, besides what's finished. What I've been told so far is 6 assignment, well, that's the high school part. I have a comment here from, when they did the personnel, that 6 assignment could be under budgeted. Still looking at. So,
You think it's under budgeted?
that's what they've told me, yes.
Do you have any comments on that, Bob?
I know we just like to add a 6th assignment for special education. We have a young lady who needs a specialized program that only one person can deliver, and the only way that person can deliver the program is through a 6th assignment. I'd have to take a look at the 6 assignments to see how they're broken up and get back to you. I don't remember.
That's a 33% overage from budget. So it's a pretty substantial percentage. The same question on educational aids here, we're projecting for $93,000.
That's because educational aids are all charged to the board, and then we wait for the funds to come in through an IDEA grant.
Can you read up the account number when you bring those up, please?
That particular one was 130. Sick pay for 2/35. This is scary that it's 52,000 over projected.
It's probably because you probably, off the top of my head, you had more people retire who got the sick pay than when the budget was finalized. You still have to pay them their sick pay out.
If you would remember, we had a number of people who retired at the end of last year. A world language teacher that retired. I can think of a special ed teacher that retired.
How many without giving 3-year notice?
Both of these are without 2-year notice.
forward? With one of the other reports showing a fair amount of sick time we owe.
One of the things that concerns me about the budget this year is maternity leaves. We've noticed an increase in maternity leaves this year, something that we have really no way of planning on. And it's been a concern, one that we're trying to look at, and as I said, it's difficult to get a handle on it, and then we're trying to figure out how we can address those issues, because remember, in addition to the mother going out on leave, you have to cover a substitute, and sometimes you're double paying for the same time.
I remember this being in our conversation last year in the budget season, and now it's come to light again. The sick day payout, if we know the three-year requirement to give notice to leave or retire, we don't plan a financial number associated with them. We know we carry, per the report, we get so many, the teacher has 50, they can carry up to how many, whatever many days, an X number, but now we have to fund it. So where are we getting this money from?
One of the things that we couldn't do is a number of people retired after the budget was set. They announced their retirement in either May or the beginning of June, so that we couldn't plan on that. So what we would have to do is look at areas within the budget in which we could reallocate money. One of the places that comes to mind is looking at the new hires. There was a delta between the person who left and the person who was replaced. What we're in the process of doing is seeing how that delta relates to the overage. For example, we might have had a special ed teacher retire at $80,000. We were able to hire another teacher at, let's say, $50,000. Then we take a look at that money and use that to address some of those shortfalls.
That's where me making transfers comes into play.
Yeah, but you're transferring the money from the following year.
No, I'm in the same, but yes, you're correct. You can't control after the budget has been developed and approved. If you plan to have 5 people retire and 10 retire, you still have to pay them their sick payout. There's nothing you can do. It's no different than snow removal. You budget for X amount of dollars to remove for snow removal, and if you have an excessive amount of snowstorms, you have to clear the snow. Same with fuel oil, same with just about, any large account like that, sub-account.
So the answer to my question is really we have to find money within the budget
Correct.
to
Correct.
cover those costs.
Correct.
Unless you want to go back to the towns and ask for a supplemental appropriation,
And the problem with that is,
getting 3 towns to approve it.
but isn't that better than doing this way, you're taking something we budgeted for, and we've taken a lot of, strategic planning that gone into creating the budget, and then to have it sort of stripped, for a lack of a better term, to compensate, 52,000 at this point, which could be, a lot higher. And I get your point with the snow plowing, because we ran into that scenario last year. So,
That's part of budget. I mean, you're going to be over on some, you're going to be under on another. It makes kind of sense that, the salaries going down might be a way to affect the people who are retiring, because it's still based on, compensation. So, I mean, every budget, no budget has ever, in the history of budgets, been 100% on. Especially for schools.
I think it's premature to go to the towns and ask for an allocation.
Correct.
Know the true
I mean,
impact
it's-
of what the difference.
Another example is the grants work that we just did with the facilities. That, Mr. Clarko, who was it? Mr. Clarko came in higher than what the facilities had approved. Now, my options were to stop to him and tell him no, but he'd already gone over. There's nothing we could do. We spent the money we had to pay for. And I know the reason I approved the additional money is because I'm gonna find that within the budget.
I appreciate that, and I get that. I'm wondering, this is just throwing out the question, so I have an understanding of why we do that versus not doing a supplemental appropriation. Because that number could substantially be higher, and you may not, to Dave's point, I mean, you may not find, let's say it's $100,000. I mean, that's a big chunk of money to find, you know, and my point is that you're going to have to take it from, you know, this to that, and so everybody wants their fair share, so I get it.
And I can't answer that question. I've never,